Hello, to whom it may concern, Casey here. I wanted to do a review of my AMF Alcort Sunbird. I picked it up a couple weeks ago, and prior to even purchasing it, I had a hard time finding reliable information on it. Now, there is a Yahoo group of like 800 people that I'm part of now that has some pretty good links and resources with some relatively active people. So, it provided some information, but there's only a couple, like, minute and a half to 2 minute videos out there of maybe people sailing it briefly or just showing they bought it and what condition it was in. So I wanted to switch over and give a walk down of my Sunbird and what condition it was in when I got it, some of the stuff that I plan to do to it, and just about any helpful information that I think somebody who might be looking into buying one. They were only made for I think 6 years, so they're not the most common day sailor out there, but I'm hoping that this will be helpful for somebody out there in the near future. So alright, so she's a 1981 model, and I got her for $1,200 off the previous owner. She wanted $15 for it. I still think I could have paid less, but I managed to get her down a little bit because it did not have an outboard motor, and I think the last time they had sailed it, according to the registration sticker, it was 03. So I just assumed there'd be some stuff that needed replaced. Also, her mainsail, even though it was in good condition, so was the jib, it didn't have battens. That's not a big deal, but it's just things that you can beat people up for when you want to get the price. It's always negotiable. Trailer's running and functioning. They did replace the tires for me and the bulbs on the trailer, but you can tell it's a little seasoned, coming that it's from 81. Boat sails really nicely. It probably likes to be like in 6 to 8 knots steady, just because I think it's the nature of the day sailors to get out and have room and hang out with people. It works great for that. All of my prior sailing experience had been on Club 420s, a little bit of lightning, and some laser experience, so I'm used to these small dinghies. This is like just the next class up, like J22 lightning / those are more like racing. J-boats, racing level lightning. They do a lot of racing leagues up here in Northwest PA, just in Lake Erie in general. I think there's a lightning race league, but I digress. It can sail up in the higher 10 to 12, maybe even 14 knots. I think with one day we went out and it was super windy, but I noticed that after like 10 to 12, if you want to use all of the mainsail and you don't reef it, it really heals a lot. I mean, especially for 2 people. They say that it can hold 6, so that day I only had me and one other crew. So with both of us sitting on the gudgeon, or it's not the gudgeon, that's the gudgeon. Both of us sitting on the gunnel, and like using half the main, we were probably healing pretty bit. Like a pretty good amount. And we were just kind of drinking and having a good time, so I wasn't trying to get too serious about it. That led for me to install these purple lines. I'll make another video on those, but basically it's my DIY hiking strap, because there's not a lot of parts online pertaining to any sort of hiking on these. They're not really in that class. Like, it's just designed, go out, reef the main if it's a little too windy, and just cruise around there. But I like to get the most out of it. So on the days that we go out and it's super windy, by all means, me and my friends, and my one friend that I got into this boat with, we both enjoy hiking, and we use a little bit of trapeze action on the Club 420, so we're not scared to do all that. The boat came in, as stated, pretty good condition. Those were the only 2 merits, was no outboard motor, no battens, and, it needed a little bit of love. There's, like, it seems like the stays, sometimes we'll get these little divots in them and they'll go away, because I down rig it and lay it across pretty much the top of the boat. There's a center beam there for it for transporting it, and I have this little wooden jig that, like, holds it. I'll go and pan over it real quick so you guys can see. That's kind of an idea of it. It just kind of goes in the center right in the back here by the gudgeon, and then just keeps the mast. And then the boom and rudder all can go in the center, and you can put the sails in the cuddy. Cuddy's nice and huge. For anybody who hasn't experienced it, it's probably the typical day sailor cuddy. I mean, we went camping with it the first weekend that I had the boat, and we had enough for like 4 days of supplies: coolers, tents, sleeping bags, large cargo bags. We had enough for like 4 people. So we filled it to the brim. It'll hold a lot. And then what else? all the lines and stuff were kind of seasoned. There's no like tears or rips or anything, but you know, you can see all the non-hardware or non-stainless hardware started to rust, but everything was functioning just fine. Next season, because we have a long winter up here in the Northeast, I'll go ahead and give everything a new paint and probably some new halyards and just keep everything brand new. But for now, it all works just fine. Doesn't have a running Cunningham now, not that I know of. You know, like I'm used to the Cunninghams going to like the little, I can't think of the technical term for what the holes are in the sails, but you know, a line that would run down and then like cleat off somewhere in like a V-jam. This just has this one line that keeps the mast from, or the boom from coming out. So, you know, the only thing that I've seen to have on these as far as Cunningham, if it's necessary to people, is this little pin. So in like super heavy winds, I do the bottom pin because it means that from the very bottom corner to the top of the mast, the head, it's like the tightest. You know, that little inch, you know, on the softer days, I've cleated it in there. That's not even, I don't even know it's cleated, but, you know, cotter pinned it into that. And it gives it a little bit more room to catch air, a little bit bigger belly. Out haul, pretty typical. It's got the hole you run the rear line through. And then, you know, you cleat it off with a conventional cleat. It's kind of different. I'm used to like the V-jams on 420s, or I think even the Lightning had it too. A bunch of other miscellaneous hardware. You know, you got these, and then I believe this guy right here is for the middle reef, but you know, I could be wrong. It didn't come with a boom vang to it. I didn't mention that. I think a lot of them didn't. In the manual, it even comes as optional, like in the very back of the book. So yeah, that's an easy buy, like 90 bucks between blocks and line, and I have to find a way to pin it off here, like somewhere at the bottom, but you know, it's not super expensive. Centerboard works perfectly fine. This cleat's a little finicky, but nobody should have a problem with that. Never have a problem with bailing or anything. It's got the main drain plug, and then of course your active drain plug that has a float ball in the has a float ball at the bottom. You know, so as you're going, it'll automatically auto bail for you if you're taking on water. And then these jib cleats are kind of weird. At least maybe they're new to me. I don't know if it's just an old school thing, or if maybe someone out there's like, oh, I'd love to have those. You know, they're new to me, but I don't like them. I like the traditional cam cleats, sort of like, you know, these guys right here. You know, these ones work, I don't know, I'm just used to it. You know, that's what I learned on. These work fine, but if the line comes out a lot, and then you'll be pulling it like, and then after you lose your tension, you gotta flick it back out. I mean, it's pretty much the same for normal cam cleats. I don't know, that's what I'm used to. I think I covered everything. I got a spinnaker coming in. Found the dimensions for what I needed. I just need to work on putting a block up there at the top and then running the halyards down and then blocking them to the cockpit with some type of cleating system. You know, maybe like V-jams right here on top or something. You know, I'm not sure yet, but we'll get there. But that's about it. Any questions or comments? Be sure to send them. I'll reply to everything.